Do you know that the term flying saucer actually became known in Washington state? That's where the term originated from. Did you know man in black also, that term originated in Washington state? I'm living in Washington state. The term flying saucer came from a guy named Kenneth Arnold who had been flying by Mount Rainier, and he spotted some objects in the sky, which he said kind of looked like saucers. And so the name came about. Mount Rainier is only about 60 miles from where we live. In fact, I can see Mount Rainier from where I live. So that was pretty close. And then there was another incident on Murray Island where a guy in a tugboat or a fishing boat says that he also saw some objects in the sky that dropped stuff on him and actually busted his son's arm and killed his dog. And later on said that a man in black approached him and said, "Don't say anything, or you may not live, or your family may not live either." And that was Man in Black, and that's the first time that came up. So Washington's a little bit famous. In fact, Washington has the most sightings of UFO than in most states. Also has the most sightings of Bigfoot in most states. Now, I have not seen either one. I've not seen a UFO, and I've not seen a Bigfoot. I've not seen a lot of things. Doesn't mean they don't exist, just haven't seen them. So I'll give you some stories. Things that happened in 1947, all in within about a month's time. It was happening one after the other. So let's look into it. Tell me what you think, and then I'll get back to you later. Private pilot Kenneth Arnold was flying past Mount Rainier on June 24th, 1947. He was flying a single-engine Call Air A-2 light airplane. He saw a bright flash to the northeast. Arnold had thought it was a reflection of the sun hitting the wings of a military P-51. He saw a number of more flashes. Arnold claimed the flashes came from 9 shiny objects flying in formation about 5 miles long. He described them as circular, about 100 feet across, with no discernible tail. The objects periodically flipped, banked, and weaved side to side. The formation crossed in front of Arnold, and he decided to time their passage from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams. He calculated they were traveling from 1,200 to 1,700 miles per hour, 2 times faster than any airplane known at that time. Arnold reported his sighting to the East Oregonian newspaper the next day. Arnold used terms such as saucer, disc, and pie pan to describe what he saw. The term flying saucer came into existence for the first time. Arnold became a media sensation, but he did not welcome the attention. 3 days before Arnold's sighting, 2 harbor patrolmen in Tacoma, Washington, reported an incident with a flying object. Harold Dahl reported the following.
On June 21st, 1947, in the afternoon at around 2 o'clock, I was patrolling the east bay of Maury Island. I, as captain, was steering my patrol boat close to the shore of a bay on Maury Island. On board were 2 crewmen, my 15-year-old son, and his dog. As I looked up from the wheel of my boat, I noticed 6 very large, donut-shaped aircraft.
Everyone on the boat noticed 6 donut-shaped objects just under the clouds headed toward the boat. They came closer and closer, and when they were about 500 feet from the boat, they stopped. One of the objects seemed to be in trouble, as the other 5 were hovering around it. They were close, and everybody got a good look. The UFOs were about 100 feet in diameter with a hole in the center. They were silver in color. They made absolutely no noise. Each object had large portholes around the edge. The UFOs began to separate, and while they did, Dahl went and got his camera and attempted to take photographs. Later on, those very photographs would disappear. Dahl stated the distressed UFO began spewing metal from the hole in its center. As those hit the water, the UFO began to throw out a harder rock-like material hitting his boat and hitting on the shore. of Murray Island. Dahl took his crew and headed toward the beach of Murray Island, but not before the boat was damaged, his son's arm had been broken, and his dog had been killed. As they reached the island, they looked up and saw that the UFOs were leaving the area at a high rate of speed. The harbor patrolman went on to tell how he scooped up several chunks of the metal from the beach and boarded the patrol boat. Dahl tried to use his radio to summon aid, but for some unusual reason the interference was so bad he couldn't even call the 3 miles to his headquarters in Tacoma. When they docked at Tacoma, Dahl got first aid for his son and then reported to his supervisor officer, Grissom. Grissom didn't believe what Dahl was telling him. Well, he didn't believe it until he went to the island himself and saw the metal scattered on the beach. Dahl's trouble wasn't over. The next morning, a mysterious visitor came to Dahl, told him to forget what he had seen and say nothing, or it could be the end of his life and his family's. Kenneth Arnold, hearing about Dahl's experience, came to Tacoma to talk with Dahl. Here's where it even gets stranger. As Arnold said, a room had already been reserved for him without Arnold's request. Had the room been bugged? Possibly. Arnold then decided to contact Lieutenant Frank Brown of Military Intelligence. He was from the 4th Air Force out of Hamilton Field, California. Lieutenant Brown and Captain Davidson arrived in Tacoma. After asking Dahl and Grissom a few questions, the 2 intelligence agents left, reluctant even to take any of the fragments. As some writers who have since written about this incident have said, Brown and Davidson seemed to be anxious to leave and afraid to touch the fragments of the UFO, as if they knew something more about them. The 2 officers went to McCord Air Force Base near Tacoma, where their B-25 was parked. They held a conference with the intelligence officer at McCord and took off for their home base in Hamilton, California. When they left McCord, they had a good idea as to the identity of the UFOs. Fortunately, they told the McCord intelligence officer what they had determined from their interview. In a few hours, the 2 officers were dead. The B-25 crashed near Kelso, Washington. The crew chief and a passenger had parachuted to safety. The newspapers hinted that the airplane was sabotaged because it was carrying highly classified material. Authorities at McCord Air Force Base confirmed this later point. The airplane was indeed carrying classified material. So what really did happen on June 21st, 1947 by Murray Island? Was it a hoax? Did it really happen? Did Harold Dahl say it was a hoax in fear of his life and the life of his family? Was it a government cover-up? Was it something else? Will we ever really know the truth? I doubt it. But it's just another one of the mysteries that goes along with UFOs, flying saucers, and UAPs. So there you have it. Are there really flying saucers, UAPs? Even got names of objects that go underwater. Are they really extraterrestrial from another planet? Or are they all made right here? Are they all man-made and it's just so top secret we don't know about it? Who knows? I must tell you though, I always go out at night and look at the sky if it's clear. I'm always looking for something. I've never seen a UFO though. I've seen satellites. I saw the Starlinks when they were, there's maybe 12 of them or 15 of them that are all together in a row and they went across the sky. I'd never seen anything like that. And if I didn't know any better, I would say, that looks like a UFO, but it wasn't. It was man-made. Maybe you've seen one. I've had some friends that actually told me stories of UFOs that they saw, or flying saucers, and I have no reason to doubt them. They saw something. Maybe you've seen them. So let me know. It'd be nice to know how many people have seen flying saucers or UFOs or UAPs or whatever you want to call them. The world is full of mysteries, and that's just one of them. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want, please subscribe, and I'll get to see you next Thursday.